Hi, so Lovely Runner is finally on Netflix, and if you didn't know, this is what fans have been asking for.
The Korean drama of the year is not on Netflix.
I just know that Netflix is punching in the air right now for not picking up this show.
It had a lot going against it, but it managed to come up from behind and become one of the most memorable dramas of this year. And yes, I know we are just halfway in, but I've seen a lot of drama years in the past. Trust me, this one's a standout. It catapulted its leads to a new level of stardom, especially its male lead Byung-suk, who may still be stuck doing fan meetings somewhere overseas. It just doesn't seem to be ending. It's actually pretty moving watching him become emotional about his sudden stardom during these fan meets. But he's been doing so much of it for so long, it has to be exhausting at this point, and I really hope that the man gets a break and goes off on a holiday or something. Now, Lovely Runner's popularity also gave the female lead and ostensibly the star of the show, Kim Hye-yoon, a new level of recognition.
염정아 선배님 앞에서도 기 하나 안 죽고 정말 눈 똑바로 뜨고 연기를 하는데 와 정말 저 에너지가 어마어마하더라고요. 아, 이 친구 물건이네 이런 느낌이었었어요.
While she's always had the industry's appreciation for her acting skills, Lovely Runner finally expanded her fandom to a level where her fans could finally voice their dissatisfaction about how she's been treated and be heard. See, when it became very clear after the show's success that the industry and media were treating Byung-suk and Kim Hye-yoon very differently, fans began to talk about it loudly everywhere, including the Instagram page of Kim Hye-yoon's new agency. Now, quick context. She used to be with a different agency back when she signed up for Lovely Runner and through most of the production of Lovely Runner. But earlier this year, she ended her contract with them and moved to a new company. Now she's with Artist Company, and they were clearly unprepared to have fans banging on their metaphorical doors asking why they are doing such a poor job of promoting her, which according to Kim Hye-yoon was not really their fault. What I did find interesting about this interaction though is when Kim Hye-yoon was asked by a reporter about this incident with her fans complaining to her company, she pointed out something about the industry that I honestly hadn't known. This concept of love calls, which means when your show becomes a success, your agency starts getting calls from directors, producers, brands asking to book your time, maybe for a variety show, maybe for an interview, maybe for an endorsement. Apparently, none of that happened for Kim Hye-yoon through the entirety of the show. Whereas Byung-suk, within a week of the final episode airing, he was already endorsing something like 3-4 major brands. And his advertising fees were already in the top 3 of the country. The other two being Kim So-hyun and Cha Eun-woo. So you can see the disparity between how the two actors were treated was kind of unmatched. However, what motivates all of these people, the directors, producers, brands, to make those calls and book the actor's time is this idea of whether the fandom's love for an actor will be backed up with money spent on them. And since the female fandom tends to be more generous with their spending in this industry, they just assumed that, of course, the male lead is the one who should be getting all the endorsement. That's my hypothesis, but I am pretty sure that's the actual reason. And while they're sometimes right about these kind of things, it's also driven somewhat by sexism. Industry traditionalists simply can't consider that the female fandom that opens their wallet for the male lead would also want to support female leads like Kim Hye-yoon. And happily, Kim Hye-yoon finally had a fandom that was big and loud enough to start to get the needle moving. Our girl got her own fan meets, her own airport reception, her own new brand deal, and best of all, new scripts that she's already looking over. When I think of watching Kim Hye-yoon's interview a couple of years back, where she's talking about getting rejected from roles after she's won awards for Sky Castle because of how short she is, because she isn't the height of a traditional K-drama heroine, her current success feels belated.
키가 작은 편이다 보니까 오디션을 볼 때마다 이제 키 때문에 떨어지는 경우가 너무 많은 거야.
속상하다고.
내가 정말 실력이나 어떤 다른 어떤 능력 때문이라면 내가 뭐 노력을 하면 되는데 정말 키는 내가 노력을 할 수 있는 게 없잖아.
맞아, 외적인 부분은.
But I also hope that this opens up the door for other short queens to get good roles and not just when they are portraying teens in school uniform. So anyway, the popularity of Lovely Runner was so widespread that every interview that the director and writer and even the cinematographers gave got clipped and translated and widely distributed across the international fandom through Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Now, the drama originally aired on TVN, the cable channel, and Tving, the streaming platform local to South Korea. And while on cable, it racked up a respectable 5.8% in peak ratings. On TVing, it outperformed Netflix, at least in 1 week during the airing of the show. And that had never happened before. It basically got more watch hours than Netflix did that week. See, this was a huge deal because the South Korean TV industry really dislikes Netflix's dominance in their territory. We can talk about that another time, but let's stick to simple maths here. TVing before Lovely Runner was competitive, but they were still trying to find a place at the table with Netflix, Amazon, et al. But now, things have changed. TVing is actively outperforming Netflix in the number of local app installs. TVing is a local streaming platform that is run cooperatively by multiple media houses who decided to join their forces and resources so they don't have to be so over-dependent on Netflix, at least not for the domestic audience. And you know what? That bet is paying off. And here's the thing, fans have been saying for months that not being on Netflix has hurt Lovely Runner's potential, but has it? Now, we don't actually know if it was ever offered to Netflix, but what we do know was that it was funded entirely in-house with no sponsorships and was exclusively streamed domestically on TVing and internationally with global partners like Viu and Viki. And this gave a chance to platforms other than Netflix to host a drama that was a sensation in multiple countries. So I do feel like the demand to have Lovely Runner on Netflix is a very Western fan impulse because in real material terms, it didn't hurt the show, the producers, the actors, anybody involved to not have it on Netflix. If anything, the fact that it became such a behemoth outside the Netflix environment meant that when Netflix wanted to purchase a license to this drama, they probably had to fork over exponentially more than they would have had to if they had gotten in early and bought it cheap. So not airing Lovely Runner on Netflix is probably the reason the production house is making way more money right now. So usually the profit would be entirely Netflix's if they get in early and buy something for a dime. For reference, look up how much Squid Game's director got paid for the first season. So yeah, Lovely Runner is finally on Netflix and I'm happy about it. I can keep rewatching it on Viki with better subtitles, but for my friends who don't have Viki and don't care about crap subtitles, I can now recommend it on Netflix. But aside from that, didn't we know that this was inevitable? Netflix always goes and buys up popular properties once they have proven their success. So yeah, Lovely Runner is on Netflix. And I can't figure out, so what?